Well, hello and welcome once again to our Advent devotionals that we are working on and trying to get put together. And as I've been saying, it's our heart and intention that you are utilizing these times to allow God to really draw you close and prepare your hearts for this Advent season. And we are continuing. Over these last several days, we began our devotions focusing on the theme of hope. And so that is once again what today's theme is about as well, is about hope. And today we want to focus on our source of hope, what it is that our hope springs from. What is the source of it, and what is God desiring to do because of it? So invite you to just spend the next several minutes with me as we talk about the source of hope in our lives. So as we think about that, I want you to think about what it looks like to hope in an earthly sense. You know, what are some things that you find yourself hoping for? Maybe it's a specific outcome. Maybe it's for a change in circumstances or a favorable result. And when you think about those things, what emotions are present? So one of the first things for me that came to mind is, as I was thinking about that, is some things that I'm hoping for a specific outcome. I still like football and still most of the time watch it. And the Denver Broncos are just a real source for me of where I can really relate to this. I'm hoping that they're going to play well. I'm hoping that they're going to, have a great running game. I'm hoping they're going to have a great passing game. But in the last few years, it's my hope is really dwindled more in that. But so that's one of the first things that kind of come to mind. But as we engage in the world around us, there's other ways that we are engaging with this idea of hope. And so as you think about that, as you're thinking about things that you're wanting a specific outcome or changes to take place, you're wanting a favorable result, from different tests and things like that. Think about what emotions are present when you're going through that and thinking about those things. Do you have like a fearful emotion? Do you feel insecure? Do you feel anxious? All of those things, this earthly hope is often ridden with a form of anxiety. And so we're either biting our lip, hoping that our team makes the final touchdown or field goal, or we're up in the middle of the night hoping that maybe we're going to have a favorable result from something. These last several weeks, just kind of as my daughters have been traveling home, kind of thinking about that, hoping they have a good trip and kind of watching the flights as they come in and keeping track of them. As Megan was driving home, tracking her progress as she drove, just in those type of things, feeling some anxiousness in those ways. So when we think about that, what are the feelings and the emotions that come along with that? Oftentimes it's worry. We worry that things aren't going to turn out the way we want, or even in the way that we have planned. But this type of hope is different than the hope that we have and can place in God. So most often our hope wavers because it's rooted in an act of our will, or it's rooted in other things that lacks a stable foundation. Now, in the ways that we've just talked about those things, our hope can be in a player or a team or a friend or a relationship or any number of things. But we can't be sure that those things are going to come out in a certain way, or if they do, that they will succeed. So when we look at a biblical hope lacks no such uncertainties. In fact, it is full certainty. It's confident and fully assured because it's rooted in the faithfulness of God. It's rooted in his character. It's rooted in who he is, and that is its source. So this is evidenced as we look at the life of Christ and his provision for us and the way that he came and the way that he provided salvation for us, we look towards God's fulfillment of all of his promises in Scripture through the life of Christ, and particularly in the return of Christ, knowing that his character is defined by his unwavering faithfulness. He is unchanging, and he is for us, as we see in Romans 8:31, and he is working things out for our good, as we also see in Romans 8:28. So today I want to ask you a couple of things. Where's your hope rooted? What characteristics of God can you rest your hope in today? I love this passage from Lamentations chapter 3, verses 19 through 26. It says this, "I remember my affliction and my wandering, the bitterness and the gall. I well remember them, and my soul is downcast within me. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. The Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to the one who seeks him. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord." Now, think back and maybe spend some time again rereading this passage, and I want you to capture a couple of things that happened here. First, did you see what happened? So the writer of Lamentations, the prophet Jeremiah, he recalled his pain and his sadness and how it was affecting him. But what did he do? So as we look at that in verse 19 and 20, what did he do? He reminded himself of the source of his hope. As you read through the rest of those verses through that passage, you see how he reminded himself of the source of his hope. So, as we think about this, I want you to, parents, if you have young kids with you, I want you guys to talk about this and really think through this. What can give us hope? Think about that. What can give us hope? When we have hope in things that can fail us, such as people and things of this earth, we can and we will be disappointed. However, if we ultimately put our hope in Jesus above all else, our hope has a firm foundation. So again, where does your hope stand today? How has God shown his love to you? How has he provided all of your needs? How has he been faithful to you? As a family, I want you to discuss those things, but I want you to really take your time and talk about where we find our hope, where are our places we place our hope, and remind yourself of the characteristics of who God is, God's character, how he has promised himself to us, how he has been faithful in his promises to us. And I want you to think back to those characteristics. What are some of those things? Which ones do you find your hope in today? Spend your time in that passage out of Lamentations. Jeremiah had to go through that process of reminding himself who God is, who God was, what he had promised himself, or what God had promised to Jeremiah that he would do. And I pray that renews your hope today. I pray that you are blessed in these days. I pray that God continues to reveal himself to you. I pray that you are experiencing his hope anew. I pray that you are blessed today, and I look forward to spending time with you tomorrow. God bless.